Make them understand. Have you ever had someone stay hard away? You give it. Have you ever been loved? Been lost again? You would do anything.
1, 2, 3.
He can lift me!
Of course I can.
In custody on Bristol. Give me a address when you got one. Good job, guys. In custody on Bristol.
Good evening. That's the police radio call and the scene of Adam Bennefield being captured by authorities in Buffalo earlier today. He has been on the run for the past week.
Buffalo police say Bennefield shot and killed his estranged wife in front of her children 1 week ago, not far from where he gave up this afternoon.
Chasing a homicide suspect. He's on a bicycle. He just jumped. He's going westbound.
This is the story of Keaira Hudson, a young woman whose life was stolen in a brutal act of violence. She was shot and killed by her ex-boyfriend in broad daylight, despite her desperate attempts to seek help and protection.
She's just been trying to get help. I've been with her, going to police stations. She's been texting me, sending me videos, giving me her phone password just in case.
Montasia Jeter says her sister, Kiara Hudson, was in an abusive relationship, even posting a disturbing video on social media that shows her getting beaten up. Jeter says her sister was staying with her mother because she feared for her life.
Sit back and join us as we uncover the mystery behind her death. Welcome to Cold Twist True Crime Stories. Kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell icon so you don't get to miss our future posts on any of our latest stories. Every day, we walk through a world we believe is safe. We lock our doors, we avoid dark alleys, we trust in the light of day. But beneath the shadows, threats we still encounter unimaginable threats from people we think we can be safe with. It prompts the question, can you truly ever be safe? Can anyone, no matter how far they run, truly escape the dangers they seek to leave behind? Especially when they've tried to warn everyone, and when they've cried out for help? This is a story of a life brutally extinguished. Not in the dead of the night, not in some forgotten corner, but in the harsh, unforgiving glare of midday. A life that fought for survival, reached out for a lifeline, but only to be met with a shocking and agonizing end. Kiara Hudson was more than just a name in a tragic headline. She was a mother who devoted her time to her children, fighting with every fiber of her being to keep them safe and to keep herself alive. Her story isn't about simply becoming a victim. It's about the relentless pursuit of survival against overwhelming odds. Kiara lived with a chilling companion, a bulletproof vest which she wears. Not occasionally, not as a precaution for a dangerous job, but in her daily life. Imagine the level of fear that drives someone to such an extreme measure, to cloak themselves in a shield against an invisible threat. This vest wasn't just a piece of equipment. It was a desperate plea for protection and a stark declaration of the danger that stalked her every step. Adam Bennefield, the father of her children, became the source of this escalating terror. What began as a troubled connection had devolved into a pattern of threats and aggression, leaving Kiara in a constant state of alert. In a desperate bid for safety, Kiara sought refuge. She moved into her mother's home, hoping the familiar walls and the presence of family would offer a sanctuary. She thought it would be a place where she and her children could finally breathe without the suffocating weight of fear. It was an attempt to build a fortress and to create a safe haven away from the rising storm. She was trying to outrun a storm, but the clouds were already gathering. She took every possible step to survive and to protect herself from the escalating danger she perceived. Yet despite wrapping herself in a bulletproof vest, despite fleeing to her mother's home, the hunting continued. How could such extreme measures prove so futile against a determined threat? Adam Bennefield was not merely Kiara Hudson's estranged partner. He was a man with a documented history of extreme violence, a past that painted a stark picture of the danger he posed. His record included a conviction for armed kidnapping in the year 2000, which was a terrifying incident where he held a woman at gunpoint. This wasn't an isolated act, but it serves as a clear demonstration of his capacity for control and aggression. What followed was even more audacious. He had a daring escape from prison. He didn't just break free. He defied the very system designed to contain him, showcasing a chilling disregard for authority and a relentless determination. This was a man who proved he would not be confined, a man capable of extreme measures to assert his will. Keira's fear and need for a bulletproof vest was not born of isolated incidents. It was part of a larger, deeply troubling pattern of Adam Bennefield's violence against women. His past wasn't just a record of crimes, it was a repeated demonstration of a destructive mindset. When confronted with his actions, Bennefield attempted to reshape the narrative. During his trial, he painted himself as the victim, claiming manipulation and financial grievances. He tried to externalize blame, to shift responsibility away from his own brutal conduct. How could someone twist such a narrative when faced with undeniable facts of their own violent history? The final 48 hours of Kiara Hudson's life were a desperate race against time, a period when the very system designed to protect her seemed to falter, with catastrophic consequences. On October 3, 2022, Keaira made a courageous choice. She reported a brutal assault by Adam Bennefield to the Cheektowaga police. Her words were clear, and her fear was undeniable. She told them she believed she would die, that he would kill her soon. This wasn't a vague complaint. It was a desperate plea for her life, a stark warning of what was to come. She didn't just speak her truth. She provided compelling video evidence. The footage left no room for doubt about the severity of the assault and the violence she endured. It was an undeniable proof, with a visual testament to the danger Bennefield had posed. Yet despite Keira's desperate plea, despite the irrefutable video evidence, Adam Bennefield was charged with only misdemeanors. This decision carried a devastating consequence. The very next day, of October 4, 2022, Adam Bennefield walked free. He was released on his own recognizance, with an order of protection in place. This was carried out on a piece of paper, which utterly became useless against a man with his history of violence and disregard for any legal restraint. The frustration within the system was evident. The acting district attorney publicly expressed their efforts to hold him, advocating for more discretion in the hands of the judges in such cases. This wasn't just a misstep, it was a critical vulnerability within the framework designed to keep people safe. In the aftermath of this tragedy, Keaira's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit. Their accusation was a direct one on the police negligence and a failure to adequately protect Keaira, despite her urgent pleas and the overwhelming evidence she provided.
Well, good evening once again. Stronger protections for domestic violence survivors. That's what a local mother and daughter want to create with a new online petition.
Yeah, the family now calling on lawmakers to pass Hudson's Law, named for a Buffalo mother who was shot and killed earlier this month. Tonight, the man accused of killing Kiara Hudson is behind bars, being held without bail since his arrest last Wednesday. Adam Bennefield is charged with second-degree murder and endangering the welfare of children. Investigators say he shot Hudson, seen here in her SUV earlier this month, while her kids were with her. Our 7 News I-team was the first to discover just 24 hours before Hudson's murder, authorities had Bennefield in custody and charged him for assaulting Hudson, but a judge let him go because the charges did not qualify for bail in New York.
And that's where Jeannie and Kimberly Thompson want to see a change. They've put this petition online calling on state leaders to adjust these laws. The bill, named in honor of Hudson, would make people convicted of domestic violence ineligible for bail. I spoke with Jeannie and her daughter this afternoon about why this cause means so much to them.
When I heard about Kiara, I felt like I got punched in the stomach. I felt like, oh my God, how can this happen?
Jeannie Thompson and her daughter Kimberly never met Kiara Hudson, but the story of her murder has motivated them to call for stronger protections for victims of domestic violence.
Kiara is a stranger to us. We don't know her, but yet again, we do know her. because we know the pain and the suffering that she felt being terrified for her life.
Hudson's story hit close to home for the Thompsons. 24-year-old Kimberly is a domestic violence survivor after getting out of an abusive relationship with a longtime boyfriend.
He threatened my life. He threatened to put a gun in my head. He choked me, broke my nose.
And that's why Kimberly and Jeannie have started a petition on MoveOn.org to create Hudson's Law. It would change bail laws in domestic violence cases in New York. Hudson's estranged husband, Adam Bennefield, is charged in her murder. The 7 News I-Team learned he was released the day before Hudson was killed because the court could not legally keep him locked up.
I'm naming it Hudson's Law. And by the grace of God, I hope that this makes a huge change and a difference for all victims and survivors, and it brings more awareness to the whole situation of domestic violence.
It's a complicated and delicate situation.
Attorney Florina Altschiller is our 7 News legal expert.
Every domestic violence situation does not result in murder, but the few that do are shocking, are horrific, and are what make the news and are a huge concern, and they're something that society would very much like to prevent to the extent possible.
Altschiller believes while the calls for change might be warranted, legally there needs to be a balance between not allowing guilty parties go free while not jailing people who are innocent.
I think they require a lot of thought and a lot of thought as to the consequences, not just consequences for the offender, but also consequences for people who may be similarly situated in the future who are not going to turn into murderers.
Still, the Thompsons say something has to change.
What's going to happen if we don't do it? What's going to happen, Jeff? You're going to be reporting on more cases like this, more tragedies that could be prevented if we do Hudson's Law.
Now, that MoveOn.org petition was directed at Congressman Chris Jacobs. I reached out to his office today to see if he had seen the petition, but did not hear back.
The morning of October 5th, 2022 began like any other. But for Keaira Hudson, it would become a scene of unimaginable horror. The careful steps she took for safety, the bulletproof vest, and the refuge at her mother's home, all were about to collide with a terrifying act of violence. Adam Bennefield, undeterred by the order of protection or his recent release, executed a calculated ambush. He used his truck as a weapon, deliberately crashing into Keaira's car. This wasn't an accident. It was a cold and intentional act designed to disable and to trap her. The most heartbreaking detail of that morning is the presence of her 3 young children. They were in the car, helpless, witnessing the terrifying moments unfold. Trapped in the back seat, these innocent lives were forced to endure the unspeakable and were forever scarred by the brutality they observed. After the crash, Bennefield emerged from his truck with a shotgun in his hand. He approached Keaira's vehicle and fired several times. The bulletproof vest, her desperate shield, could not protect her head. In an instant, Keaira's life was extinguished. James Riggins, an eyewitness, immediately grasped the gravity of the situation. He saw the aftermath and the shocking conclusion to Keaira's struggle for survival. Bennefield fled the scene, initiating a dangerous police pursuit.
In custody on Bissell. Give me a address when you got one. Good job, guys. In custody on Bissell.
Good evening. That's the police radio call and the scene of Adam Bennefield being captured by authorities in Buffalo earlier today. He has been on the run for the past week.
Buffalo police say Bennefield shot and killed his estranged wife in front of her children 1 week ago, not far from where he gave up this afternoon. Our Tara Lynch has the details on the investigation and the manhunt. Tara.
Jackie and Dave, it was an intense morning on Bissell Avenue on Buffalo's east side when police spotted Adam Bennefield on a bicycle 1 week after he allegedly shot and killed Kiara Hudson.
We're chasing a homicide suspect. He's on a bicycle. He just jumped. He's going westbound.
In custody on Bissell. Give me a address when you got one. Good job, guys. In custody on Bissell.
This was the moment Adam Bennefield was arrested Wednesday, 7 days after he allegedly killed his estranged wife, Kiara Hudson. She was in her car wearing a bulletproof vest, and her children were in the back seat when she was shot. police started searching for Bennefield, and a tip from the public ended the week-long manhunt.
They gave us information on the whereabouts of the suspect, Adam Bennefield. The Marshals Task Force set up surveillance, and they observed Adam Bennefield on a bicycle.
Bennefield was arrested for allegedly assaulting Hudson just days before her death, but he was released. Cheektowaga police were going to charge him with only harassment until they saw an 8-minute video, which allegedly shows Bennefield beating Hudson.
He literally had, almost no injuries at all. When they initially got there, it was only going to be a harassment before they even knew about the video a day later. So again, the Cheektowaga PD can't just charge on optics.
In 2000, Bennefield served time for kidnapping 2 women, and while awaiting trial, he escaped the Erie County Correctional Facility. Even with this criminal history, under the state bail reform laws, judges are limited in whether they can set bail, and Bennefield was released from custody the day before he allegedly killed his wife.
Charges that have been completely adjudicated, where the defendant has committed and served their time, that cannot be used as a factor at all.
Pastor Tim Newkirk, who's speaking for Hudson's family, says they're breathing a little bit easier now.
The family is relieved because he's brought off the streets. He's not posing any threat or harm to anyone.
Now, Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia is thanking the public tonight for their help in finding Bennefield. It was a tip from the public that led to his arrest earlier today, and Bennefield is being held without bail. He's due back in court November 15th. For now in studio, Tara Lynch, News 4.
What followed was a week-long hunt for the man who had committed such a brazen act of violence. The search spanned days, keeping an entire community on edge until he was finally apprehended, discovered riding a pink bicycle. Now the hunt was over, but the full scope of his depravity and the unwavering fight for justice had only just begun. The capture of Adam Bennefield marked the end of the manhunt, but it was only the beginning of a relentless pursuit for justice in the courtroom. The charges against him were grave. He had murder in the second degree for taking Keira's life, aggravated criminal contempt for violating the order of protection, and 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child, recognizing the horror he inflicted upon Kiara's young ones.
A man accused of killing his wife facing a judge this morning. Adam Bennefield faces murder, child endangerment, and criminal contempt charges. He is accused of killing Keaira Hudson in front of her 3 children. That was just after Bennefield was arrested on domestic violence charges the day before, but released. This case shining the spotlight on bail reform.
The state of New York versus Adam Bennefield.
The man accused of killing his wife earlier this month was arraigned Friday morning. 45-year-old Adam Bennefield is charged with killing Kiara Hudson in front of her 3 children.
Mr. Bennefield has been indicted by a grand jury of Erie County.
Bennefield faces 1 count of murder in the second degree, 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child, and 1 count of aggravated criminal contempt for allegedly violating an order of protection.
People's position. Your Honor, as I'm sure everyone's aware, the allegations contained in this indictment are horrifying. They are the stuff of nightmares.
Bennefield pleading not guilty before State Supreme Court Justice William Bowler, who ordered him to be held without bail.
He was remanded, continued to be remanded. He faces obviously 25 years of life in prison if he is convicted.
This case shining a spotlight on bail reform because Bennefield is accused of killing Hudson 1 day after he was arrested and released in connection to an alleged domestic violence incident.
The charges were correctly charged, and the judge again had no choice but to release this person.
District Attorney John Flynn renewing his call to review recent bail reform laws.
The specific solution is that we give judges the ability to factor in dangerousness when they are assessing bail. Insert 1 simple sentence.
Governor Kathy Hochul fielding questions Friday about bail reform and this case.
We did make targeted changes to the bail laws. I think that is absolutely overlooked in this heightened political atmosphere where everything's supercharged. I don't think that's the answer. The answer is to make sure that a woman like that poor woman, has the support system she needs, has the ability to get an order of protection.
When I spoke with Kiara Hudson's family the day she was killed, they told me not only did she have an order of protection, but she was also wearing a bulletproof vest.
Because, Mom, he's going to kill me. You don't understand. He smashed into the front of her car in front of a school bus and got out the car with a shotgun and shot her and pulled off.
Not only was there an order of protection issued, a safety plan was issued as well to have her move out of the home and into her mom's house. But obviously the safety plan didn't work either.
The district attorney says Kiara Hudson's 3 children are doing well considering and staying with family members. Bennefield is scheduled to be back in court November 2nd.
The investigation that led to Bennefield's apprehension and the subsequent prosecution was a collaborative effort involving multiple police departments working tirelessly to gather every piece of evidence. The most impactful moment of the trial came from a voice barely old enough to comprehend the enormity of the tragedy. Kiara's then 9-year-old daughter, with profound courage, took the stand. She shared her tearful testimony recounting the horrors she witnessed. It created a moment that silenced the courtroom with an undoubted weight of emotion that came heavily on the jury. The district attorney commended her bravery as a testament to the power of her truth. Other crucial evidence supported the prosecution's case. Security footage from homes and street cameras that tracked Bennefield's movements, where perhaps a chillingly one, with a self-recorded video made by Bennefield himself, captured just hours before the attack. This footage provided undeniable insights into his state of mind and intent. The intent behind Bennefield's actions was undeniable, and his motions were firmly denied. After a swift deliberation, the jury delivered their verdict. He was guilty on all counts. The sentencing was followed while imposing the maximum penalty with a 25 years to life in prison. Adam Bennefield would now spend the rest of his days behind bars. Kiara's mother, Tammy Hudson, delivered a powerful victim impact statement, echoing the sentiment of all who loved Kiara. Her demand was unequivocal. Adam Bennefield should never get out of jail. While Adam Bennefield faces the consequences of his actions, Kiara Hudson's family continues their relentless fight, moving the battle for justice into a different arena. The criminal conviction closed one chapter, but crucial questions about systemic failures remained. The wrongful death lawsuit against the town of Cheektowaga and its police department was still ongoing. This legal action isn't about punishment in the same way a criminal trial is. It's about demanding accountability for alleged negligence, for the moments when the system, despite warnings and pleas, reportedly failed to protect Kiara.
$7:44. No baby. I thought it would be here. He would be here by 6. And he's not. He's not here yet. I didn't get no good sleep. I'm tired.
This legal pursuit faces significant hurdles. Kiara's tragedy forces us to look beyond individual actions and examine the broader systemic issues. Kiara's story is a stark reminder that the fight against domestic violence requires more than just prosecuting offenders. It demands a critical examination of every point of contact within the justice system, from initial reports to final protective measures. It calls for a societal commitment to ensuring that warnings are heard, pleas are acted upon, and those who seek help are truly and effectively protected. If Kiara's story has moved you, consider sharing this video to raise awareness about domestic violence and the urgent need for stronger protections. We all have a role to play in preventing similar tragedies. Reflect on what you've learned from Kiara's journey. How can you contribute to building a world where warnings are heeded and lives are truly safe? Kiara's story is a stark reminder. No, seriously, it is a powerful and undeniable reminder of the work that is left to be done. As you reflect on this case, think back to the opening moments. Did you truly grasp the weight of her fear? Re-watch if you missed the subtle signs of her desperate struggle. Kiara's fight for survival and her ultimate sacrifice serves as a beacon. It illuminates the urgent need for change, which pushes us to strive for a future where no one has to wear a bulletproof vest against the person they once loved. If you want to hear more true crime stories that force us to look deeper, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell icon so you don't miss our next case. And leave a comment below on your thoughts on how the system can better protect victims like Keaira. Thanks for watching and see you on our next story.